I don't know about you, but tires topic is quite important for me, and that's the reason why those videos about tires coming to this channel as well. I think that it matters. In this video, we will try to cover the question when the tire is worn out and needs to be replaced. In front of you, 4 Pirelli XC, 3 of them Prowall, this one is Lite. It was written very tiny amount, so it looks like pretty new. That's how the tread looks like on Pirelli XC RC model. And whether it's Lite or Prowall, it only defines the thickness of the sidewalls. Lite, they are more fragile and they are less thick. Signifies why it has Lite in their title, because it's 50 grams or so lighter than Prowall. While this video is about tires wear, it's important to mention why I'm no longer using that Lite tire. Sidewalls are really thin, it requires additional amount of pressure in order to make it deform not as much. If you are a Lite guy, go with Lite version. If you are not, or especially if riding in the conditions where you can get side cut, consider Prowall instead of Lite. You will thank me later. These 3 are definitely worn out Pirelli tires, but maybe it would be good to cover the reasons why the tires worn out in the first place. First is obviously normal wear, where you ride in various conditions, through a tarmac, through a gravel, through single tracks, etc., and you worn those tires down. Considering that you are using them in proper conditions, they are not too soft, not too hard, they worn nicely, evenly, and you basically just get lost of those small cuts in the tire, and then eventually it becomes slick if you are not planning to change it anytime soon. Skidding and braking with the rear adds another level of wear to the tire, and that, apart from the normal wear, adds additional effect to your rubber disappearing in front of your eyes. If you skid a lot like I do, because it's fun, well, maybe not in all cases it's beneficial, but you will destroy your tires faster. If you come to a place where terrain is rough, like it was in Frejus, France, Rock d'Azur, it will eventually make your tires a bit rougher than they should be. If the terrain is harsh, it will affect how the rubber wears. What that does is, apart from the wear, it adds additional cuts to the rubber. Eventually it becomes no longer smooth and becomes jagged, and in general it had a hard time. Depending on the rubber compound, if you choose incorrect one for the terrain you are riding, for example, if you go with very soft tires on very hard terrain, it will eventually give you more wear that normally do. Choosing tires compound is crucial. XC RC has only 1 tire compound, but there are H version, which is a bit harder, as well as M, which is softer, and also the pattern is a bit different, so it's not the same tire anymore, even though it's Scorpion. Here we're talking about the cases when the tire is normally worn, well, normally, sometimes with misuse, but at the same time, if you get side cut or the puncture and no longer works, we just dismiss those because that just signifies that you should replace the tire anyways. Probably the last thing which will affect how the tire wears, time when it was manufactured. So if you have very old tires, that aging will be affected by cracks in your sidewalls. Sometimes it can happen also in the main area of the treads, but you'll get the cracks, and then it's just up to you whether you want to risk it, sending it, or it's better to replace it. Now, depending on all of those factors, when do you decide that the tire should be replaced? Personally, I have few terms. When you no longer have cuts in the main thread of a pattern, that kind of signifies that tire is already a bit worn, but if you are riding in hard packed, it's okay in my opinion. It depends on the people, budget, preference. If there is no thread, the tire will roll faster, but at the same time you will have a hard time in cornering as well as braking conditions. In XC, most often you just firstly worn out your middle. In some cases you can also worn out cornering knobs a bit, but majority of time they just start to break, and you will replace it by that time comes because it's worn out already. My rule of thumb is simple: those are cuts, then they become very close to each other, that cut is disappearing. In my preference, that tire should be replaced. This one reached that point quite significantly. I will definitely no longer ride with it, so there are some damage for the sides. Some say that this damage comes from too low tires pressure? I'm not exactly sure about that, because this tire I rode a lot. It has not that much of the damage. However, this tire has been ridden significantly less in terms of mileage. It has significantly more sidewalls wear. In my opinion, this happens when you ride in rough terrain and you touch the sides of the tire to the rock, etc. So that would be my guess. What's your take on the topic? Leave it down in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong about it. While the tread pattern on that was not at extreme places, I just didn't like the way how that sidewall looks like. And this is the last one which I used significantly in the last part of the season. Majority in Frejus, it got a lot of damage for those side knobs. Also, the center is affected as well. The middle could last a bit more on the hard packs, but because currently I'm riding in soft terrain, it just does not dig enough. So as we cover those topics, I really wonder what you take into account when replacing the tires. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? But those sidewalls, I don't know. Do you know the reasons why that happens? Too low tires pressure? Who knows? Maybe. Those are the only tires I worn out during the season. Pretty much, except the fact that I cut one wolf pack straight into rubbish, one race king, and I don't know, maybe something else which I already forgotten. Anyways, feel free to share your opinion when you would change those tires. Maybe someone would want to have those as very well rolling tires. Last but not least, where are you throwing this? I wonder.